Welcome to my new office. I built myself a new office as another little project of mine because a few months ago we saw an awesome apartment and we wanted to move there, and I even know the owner, and I was like, yeah, that's a set deal, we're gonna get it, but life is life and sometimes you make a plan and you get punched in the face, so we did not get that apartment. And part of me thinking about that apartment would be, I want a large desk to be able to especially have the programming set up and the testing, optimizing, commissioning set up on the same desk, and if possibly far away from where I do the assembling, so that I have like a clean setup to do the testing and I don't mix up. Because now if I do testing, usually it's right after doing assembling, and so my whole desk is full of tools and parts and everything lies around. I mean, you have seen my basement downstairs. And so the idea is like, in the basement I do the mechanical and the assembling stuff, but as soon as it goes into adding software to the mix, I want to come up here. Exactly to this part over there. This corner of the desk is reserved to do the commissioning and testing. And as you can see up here, I already have moved the useful tools, power supply, oscilloscope, high precision multimeter, and there's probably more stuff that will come up here. Let me tell you a bit more about the process. So it all started, of course, with some AliExpress orders, right? I got these legs, these table legs for a good price on AliExpress. I got myself a little router to be able to cut wood. I got myself the end mills for that router. And I got myself this one up here, which is a keyboard video mouse switch for 3 displays on 3 different PCs. And so that's the stuff I got on AliExpress. The screens and the screen mounts, I got some screen mounts to attach multiple screens. This is stuff I purchased locally, especially with the screens. I don't want to deal with warranty if it's out of state. And the mounts, they are even cheap here in Switzerland. And so I was like, yeah, let's take them from here. And of course, the wood itself is also not something you want to fly around the world. So I also got that from a local supplier. And that's when the whole process started. I got myself these 2 planks, actually, this one and this one. I designed them on Onshape. I measured the whole room on Onshape and quickly designed it. You see, it has a bit of strange shape, and that strange room shape led to my decision that I want a slightly diagonal desk, because that gives me more depth back here, gives me more length on the edge, and it doesn't eat up too much space, right? And so that's how I designed this one to be actually matching at this corner here. So you see it over there. You see here that corner matches the corner of the room quite well. And then I looked up the local supplier for wood, and he had a raw material piece of 3 meters long, 1.5 meters wide. And then I realized that if I cut out the bottom piece, what the leftover will be the one that I have up here as a shelf. And that's what you see here in the CAD model. The lower one is and these 2 together give me the raw material. And so I could tell them, look, it's just 2 cuts, and that made it rather affordable. The second cut is, I had to shorten it. The distance between the 2 walls is 297, not 300 centimeters. So I had to cut off 3 little centimeters to make it match. But then I got my plank. And after I got my plank, I put it on some stands in the garden and took my little router, and first I trimmed the edges with a slight bevel so that it's not a sharp edge. I also drilled holes into it to pass the cables from the bottom to the top. And I'm not sure if I drilled them or if I burned them. Yeah, I made quite some smoke, but somehow I got through. And then I also, of course, trimmed the edges of these holes. And the front edge, this one here, I cut it with a round end mill, so I have a nice rounded corner. And then I wanted to paint the whole thing with a clear coat with a spray gun, because I have a spray gun, but then I realized it doesn't really work. I don't get enough color onto the wood, especially because the wood first layer was absorbing a lot. And so in the middle of the painting process, I quickly had to go dig through my stuff downstairs, and I found a little roller, and then I could use the roller to put the clear coat onto my table, and then it was a few layers of clear coat, sanding, clear coat, sanding. You probably know how it works. And then I had to clean out everything I had in here. I had to sort through my stuff, and then I put everything back into it and attach these monitor stands to the top shelf so that everything is hanging. And yeah, and after some installation, and what I also did, let me show you some close-ups. I also built myself this little switch box here to be able to switch the light on and off. And there's two light modes. The one has back here some cold white for working, and the normal one has no cold white. I mean, you barely see the difference, right? Yeah, I have installed back here some LED strips behind my monitors so that I get a nice indirect light. I also have installed my sound system with the subwoofer and the tweeters, the keyboard video mouse switches up here, and I built myself a little holder for the laptop. That's basically my business laptop, while that is my private PC. And with just one click of a button, I can switch to the other one. Okay, that one is sleeping right now. Or I can switch back to this one, and here it's back. And so that is pretty useful. Oh, yeah. And I should stop. I 3D printed myself a laptop stand. So here you have nicely aligned. Come on. Boom. So here you have nicely aligned where there should be a USB-C and an HDMI. And then I basically can just put the laptop on here and just push it in, and it's connected. Power is connected, and video is connected, and USB, everything is connected like that, because that is the fourth screen, because I have these dual arm holders, so that is screen number 4 basically, and then we have 1, 2, 3 for these 2 screens, and so it's everything nicely aligned. And what I like especially is there is nothing on the desk, I mean, except maybe the cable of the 3D mouse that is there, because the 3D mouse is still wired up. But yeah, that is my new desk. Yeah, up here is a little hand. I got this from a mannequin because my brother was at the liquidation where he got some mannequins, and somehow I sold the mannequins, but I had one spare hand left. So that spare hand is now here on a 3D printed base with a magnet. So it's just magnetic, so to have this connection. Yeah, another USB 3 hub, so it's easier to access my USB. And up here I somehow sorted all the mess I have, but there's of course still a box that is labeled mess, because it is a mess. But I have my phone stuff, my projects, my travel stuff, PC auxiliaries, of course an Ethernet switch with some free ports in case I need to attach something there. But the few paper I have is still back here. And yeah, that is basically my setup. And it took me a whole long weekend to set it up because I mean, once I had the wood, the plank ready, needed to move everything out, sort everything, get rid of the old furniture, put in the new furniture, install everything, and then last but not least, use my new setup in gaming to test how it is to shoot some people online with that setup, and that works great. And I even cleaned up the garden after being finished. So now it's all done, and I'm looking forward to being productive in that setup. And part 2 will come, that is what happens downstairs, because now I can get rid of stuff downstairs because I want to move it up here, like the oscilloscope and this electronics test stuff. So I will have more space downstairs to do mechanical and electrical assembly, because that's the main goal of downstairs.